Hey everybody, welcome to Generation Dan and whoa. The funny part is the like thumbnail that you have up, I look like I'm the one doing mushrooms.
100%. You
But
100% too.
I've never done mushrooms. Welcome to Generation Dan, the comedy podcast about generational differences. I'm Atlas Novak. I'm your millennial. Who else is here?
I'm Dino the Genetic Marvel, and I am the guy who was on shrooms. So,
Yes.
Joey is in the audience saying, "You guys are doing a shrooms episode and didn't include me." That's correct. Your name is Joey Edibles, not Joey Mushrooms. And if it was Joey Mushrooms, I feel like we would have a different episode for you, and it would be hilarious.
But if it's Joey Mushrooms, it's the kind from the Last of Us TV show, the one that
it would be the sautéed in oil and butter and served with steak. That's not
no, the kind that takes over your brain and turns you into a zombie. That's the kind of mushroom.
Also fair. Fair. That's a reasonable type of mushroom that Joey would be. It would be a mushroom that wouldn't give you a good time. It would have a great time, but you not so much.
Yeah.
Not so much. Yeah.
It's pretty accurate.
So yeah, this was I've told you what I did with shrooms, haven't I? So I had taken mushrooms back years and years and years ago. A friend handed me a bunch of mushrooms in a movie. I don't remember what movie. I took them. Nothing happened. Then I remember going to bed. Things got a little wonky, and I remember nothing. Seems like a waste. And then I had more mushrooms when? A couple years ago. I had some, and I just ended up feeling stupid for 6 hours. And I was like, is this what people go through? Are you guys doing a show on shrooms or talking about past experiences?
We're talking about his experience.
My experience
on shrooms. Recently. I've never done shrooms.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So a friend who has been on the show a couple times, Kyle, me and him, he explained that he had done them. So I was like, hey, so my concern is this, is that being like even the time that I did it up at a cottage, I was like, my worry is that if I go on a bad trip, at that time I was 6'2" and the sign of a manatee, right?
Yep. I am now realizing how that could immediately spiral into chaos. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So Joey is ashamed. What the fuck, Atlas? Time for shrooms.
No.
Time for shrooms.
No.
So
continue. Sorry.
In the end, I asked Kyle, because Kyle is a giant like I am. He's bigger, actually. He's taller than I am, and he's more manly. I'll tell you that much. I'm only transitioning into a man again now, so like I'm starting to get calluses, whereas he's got like strong, tough hands.
Dino, are you telling me that you're a trans man?
No, I am transitioning to a man. That's
100%. Okay, all right.
100% true.
Worth it. Yeah,
totally. Yeah. I've actually worked on that as an intro, and also said that I'm like I suffer from a condition called mitosis. I was 500 pounds, and now I have split down the middle and turned into two people. I am the pretty one. There's an ugly one. So if you see an ugly version of me, that's me. So
what the fuck? Oh, he's just saying chicken over and over. I mean, it's not so much like I'm afraid of it or anything. First off, I've never had it offered to me. A. B. It's not interesting enough to go looking for on my own. Like,
yeah,
I lived in California where, as I was coming of age, it was becoming medicinally legal. That's all our attention was focused on.
Yeah.
At three, I am epileptic. I feel like that's pushing too many buttons at once. I feel like that could go very possible. Wrong. Yeah.
Well, it would be worth asking a medical doctor practitioner to be like, hey, can I do, like, I would actually get clearance to be like, hey, what drugs can I take and what drugs should I stay away from? Like they're the leprosy, December, you down? Yeah, that's I'll come meet you guys. But yeah, so I asked Kyle, I said, hey, listen, I want to do it just because like I'm kind of at a stage in life where I'm like, I am definitely aware that I am the last thing that's in the way of any destiny I have. Like it's me, I'm the problem. There's no question about it, right? Like, but I'm that line. So
yeah,
like it's ego, it's whatever you want to call it, but it's definitely what's my last stage of progress, right? Just considering all the things that I've accomplished in the last couple years by myself without like, and I'm an idiot, right? So Kyle was like, "Fuck yeah, absolutely." So I went over to his house, and he gave me some pointers, a little bit of understanding and stuff, and then like the first time I did it, which was a few weeks ago, it's essentially I had nothing planned other than it was like wake up, work out, go to Kyle's, and when I am functional, go back home. That was it. Like that was the only plans I had.
That makes sense.
And,
Yeah.
And it was a great experience. It was a great experience. And a couple times I'm like, hey man, I'm he's like, everything's fine. Everything's fine. Just be cool. And I'm like, and the funny thing is he was going through it and he's like, and I was like, I'm like, okay. And it was a great experience. And then this time
you achieved that.
You achieved that. I did.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And then yeah, it was a great experience, and Kyle really because there was a couple times where I was like, yeah, are you okay? He's like, everything, you're fine too. Just calm down. And
props for the for just kind of being like, you're cool. It's all good. Like,
oh yeah, no, Kyle. Like, see, that's the thing is, I'm like, and even like I talked about with Kyle too, was that like, if shit went down for me, he could help. He'd be able to put me down. And if for some reason, or not like crazily, something went bad for him, I'd be able to put him down, at least to lie on top of him, so I'm too fat for him to move. You know, and that's enough too, right? So it's like there was and it's a controlled setting, and this time he was like, "You want to go for a walk?" And I'm like, "Okay." That was wild. I'll tell you that right now. And he's like, "I don't know why I was so adventurous." I'm like, "It was a great experience, but."
If you are funny, shrooms make you 10 times funnier straight up. You know what? I think that's pretty accurate. Like my dad is a fairly funny dude, but he apparently did shrooms in the 70s. And the only reason I know this is because with his Parkinson's addled brain, he has no verbal filter anymore. So one time I was hanging out at his house and he's like, "So did I tell you about the time I did shrooms?" I was like, "Come again now?" He was like, "It was in the 70s." I'm like, "Okay, you made it sound like you did it like Tuesday or whatever."
Yeah.
But like just but he did it, and then apparently he's like, I remember sitting in my friend's apartment looking at the ceiling and remembering that it was like lava. It looked like lava. And I was like, "That's really cool." And he goes, "Then afterward, I went to sleep, I woke up, I went to my med school class, and then I got some friends of mine to write a parody musical of West Side Story called West Wing Story." I swear to God, this is a thing. He showed me the, like, not the script, but just like the whatever written out thing for it. And it's Urea instead of Maria. Yeah. So just shit like that. That's awesome. Came out of his brain post shrooms. So yeah, Joey's right.
Let's see. I don't think it's more so fun. Like, I'll be honest with you. Both times, I have just felt more okay. If that's
sure of yourself.
Not even sure of myself. Just content with my existence. More so, like it was like because there's a lot of things at play, and I'll tell you this past time was like I had a lot more visual excitement, and we tried gummies and mushrooms, and Kyle actually made it in a tea. It was a really enjoyable experience both times, and it was like that's the thing is every time I've had people give me shrooms, it's just been like and I eat them, and like, it leaves a horrible taste in your mouth, and it's not very enjoyable. But like Kyle does a great job with it, and I also got gummies too, which those were pretty good too. So. One
upside to the like legalization process of non-dangerous drugs, aside from the preventing people from getting put in prison for something stupid, is that you get industries developing to make the consumption of those drugs not gross. Like, because before, if you had to like go buy a dime bag on the corner, in the case of weed, it was like
oregano. You smoked oregano
and gross, and like at least with the
twigs.
And as much as I hate to say it, when the man gets involved, you get like, I don't know, I put it in these brownies that I sell at the bakery down the street, which is awesome.
yeah, there are two sides of it. Number one, you're going to get a uniform product, but number two, like there was a time from 1952 to 1958 when asbestos was included in cigarettes. You're like, not so good, right?
Can
But
we
also,
save Atlas's head for the wedding? What?
I don't know. But so Kyle
He got mad at
also
me for
mentioned,
something.
yeah, whatever. Kyle mentioned that I fasted. So I was fasting for 4 days beforehand, or 3.5 days before I took mushrooms. So I broke my fast with psychedelic mushrooms. So it was
Whoa.
a little extra.
Yeah, I bet it is. That's that is there's like a Patton Oswalt bit. He's like, that's not jerking off for 10 years and then painting the garage. Uh, that's kind of what that sounds like.
There was a lot more. So like I remember the first time Kyle closed his eyes for a lot of it and was like, and actually it's a weird experience in that like I find myself, and I think Kyle went through this too, was like you kind of forget to breathe and you're like,
yeah,
and you're like, oh yeah, I need oxygen. I forget, and then like so we went for a walk and hilariously because Kyle's in a lot, like I'm in a lot better shape than I used to be, but I'm still not in good shape necessarily. So like if I go for a walk, I don't get winded, but if it's like a bunch of stairs or up and down hill, I do because I'm still fat.
Yeah.
And the funny thing was like we went for a walk and I was like winded the whole time. I'm like, I swear to God, I'm in better shape than this, but like I don't know what's up. He's like, no, it's fine. And then both of us started having the same where we're like, and you remember to breathe, which is kind of messed up, but streamers die, that's what we are here for, but YouTube lives forever, so that means you live forever. I don't know. I think
Joey, did you take mushrooms and then watch the episode about mushrooms?
Mexican blue mushrooms are awesome. There's 20 pounds here for a small bag, but the local magic mushrooms here in season on the sheep fields are also cool, but they give you the farts. That's fair, McT. Welcome.
God, I love our British fans.
Listen, because I had, if anyone knows anything, we had Blue Meanie, I think was this the first time, and then this past time we had, Blue
Meanie, like from Yellow Submarine, right? Is that
sure?
What that's from? Or is the shrooms also makes you also feels like you can just not breathe? Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, which like it was a wild. Like, because Victoria gives me shit about this because, like, as a retiring fatso, like, there are times when you're lying down and you're just like, and you're like, yeah, I'm so fat, I forgot to breathe. It's just, it's a thing. I got a serious stock I've been saving. I will send a picture. Send it to me. I'll be able to load it. But, so yeah, it was a really wild experience. And this past one, I think, even Kyle mentioned like is probably the idea of also having fast, like breaking fast with a psychedelic. I recommend for a controlled environment, everyone. That is a controlled environment experience. I enjoyed the shit out of it.
Yeah, so get someone like Kyle to help you do that compared to if you have someone like Joey on your trip. And for people not watching this live and you're listening to this on Thursday when it comes out, Joey is from the Square Table Degenerates podcast and is literal Satan. Kyle was on, what was it, both last week's and 2 weeks ago episodes? So. Yeah. So on the Seinfeld showdown.
He was on the Seinfeld show and then just an interview with him.
Yeah.
And but that was like the thing was like,
but he's pretty chill.
Well, hire a giant. It's one of those like hire a giant, and they can just in case you get retarded, they'll just put you down. It's fair. It's reasonable. It's a reasonable experience where, because like that was the whole thing for me was like, because you can have a bad trip, and the best recommendation is if you have a bad trip is go lie down, right? Just go lie down and you'll be fine. But for myself, it's more so that I'm worried about something going really, horrendously bad, because that's scary as shit, right?
Yeah.
And then it's one of those things where who knows? Sorry, I'm just downloading a video from Joey.
It's okay. Oh god, Joey. So we also have like just a separate group chat where it's me, Dino, Cole, past actual host and frequent friend of the show, Cole, and Joey. And he's the amount of notifications. I routinely have to like mute it for 8 hours at a time because he just won't shut the hell up
Here's the video that Joey just
was on. What was it? Both last week's and 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Episodes. Yeah. So on the Seinfeld.
That's gigantic. He also sent a picture that's the size of a dollar.
Surreal watching this from,
yeah,
from
also
the other
true.
side.
But,
did he just give me the experience of being on mushrooms without putting me on mushrooms?
Well, listen,
a little bit?
Realistically, I think that's fair. It was. I'll tell you this much: was that the experience itself? I've been finding it very enjoyable. But like because I'm trying to do it for like, not to be like, I need to open my mind, man. It's more so that I'm like, I am the last thing in my way from whatever the universe has intended for me, and like I'm easing into the entire experience of this, and I'm lucky to have a friend like Kyle that is guiding my path, because I'm an idiot, so I would definitely take more than I'm supposed to, and I'd probably just chew on it and be like, because I'm dumb. You got to do it with another person who has done it before. That was
that's pretty.
So I've always heard that too, that you also got to be in nature. I'll tell you this much: that is a load of bullshit. It's more so. Yeah. It's,
okay.
Because I'll tell you this much is, and I'll steal a quote from Kyle: was outside is being a little too outside. Let's go inside. And it was a lot like
it's being a little too outside.
It's being a little too outside, because I'll be honest with you, it can be very, especially the first time, very overwhelming, like extremely over. And Kyle was kind of, so we were sitting inside his place, and I was like, I want to go outside. He's like, yeah, we can go outside. And so we sat out on his balcony that like looks onto like trees and grass and fairly right next to outside.
Yeah.
You know, and like he's close enough to the ground where you're like, nature is just right there, just outside of my grasp.
Yeah.
And so there's,
if you were by the ocean, oh my god. Yeah. Okay. So here's another thing.
Yeah, absolutely not. I would lose my shit.
Does freeway noise factor in?
Well, so there was an air show. There was an air show happening. So there was like the Blue Angels were flying overhead, where it was like,
oh
no, every 5 minutes, and it was like a lot. And hilariously, this past time we did it, I'm like, it's a lot better without the air show. He's like, yeah, man, normally there's no air show. It's just happened to have the air show. So like I would think freeway, like loud noises, everything is kind of just turned up to 10. It really is turned up to 11 even, right? Like it's where you're just like it's a lot.
So like in the case of like freeway noise, I live in LA. There is freeway noise literally everywhere you go. You cannot go anywhere without freeway noise. You are either next to the 10, the 405, the 5, the 101, or the 170 somewhere.
Yeah,
is just going to be a constant background. Like now, it's nice, and if you have tinnitus or whatever, the white noise helps you fall asleep. But for something like mushrooms, I imagine that would be harder to deal with. Don't accept a
ride of no one. I nearly right turns collided my taxi driver going warp speed, and we were still parked. That's
shit is amplified. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean
that's true. No, it's very peaceful where Kyle is, and like I'm tempted to do it even in my backyard as well, just because there is some grass, there's a seating area, we could be under cover and stuff. Like it's not too outsidey. But also too, and Kyle's place has the sun shining for most of the day at that where his balcony is.
Does the sun help or what?
It's just ramped up to 11. So color is a lot more vivid. And when I say vivid, I mean like, you know how they'll make like a dreamscape type thing where colors are just like amped up to 11, like just like
I'm thinking like a kaleidoscope. Is that?
No, well, I'll be honest with you, a lot of times like at the peak I was seeing like every edge of a thing would be like the RBG, just like just passing through. Like, so, but like it was very fine. Like it's almost like everything is blurred yet not blurred. and like super saturated, but also very bright, but not too like it's very much everything is just dialed up.
Yeah.
And I suspect the cats are murderers when like Kyle has cats that have that grumpy face where they're like, they're just looking at you. Yeah. They're very super cute cats. And they just look at you and they're like, and you're like, he knows. It's great.
I have a picture of Venice that I stare at and the water starts moving. Yeah. So like the thing my dad was saying where the ceiling became lava.
So it's more so that it's like the a great way of comprehending it would be lava because the way lava moves.
Yeah,
But it's more so that you have solid matter melting is what it looks like.
Okay.
It's like it's dripping but not dripping. You're like but you could just see that like real life move. It's a wild experience. And I you know what? I'll be honest with you. Kyle's been a great guide for it where he's like, hey, just wait, give it some time. Don't do it the next day because it's just not going to be potent enough. Like your body needs time to unpack that experience. And it like
don't do what the next day?
Mushrooms again.
Don't do it twice.
Yeah.
Got it.
Because you'll find that like and I only have his word to go on this, but it was that like it's kind of like you're squeezing all the juice out of the lemon. You got to wait for the lemon to re-lemon before you can squeeze it out again. You know,
you got to wait for the lemon to re-lemon. That's
keep orange juice close to bring you down if too much. Yeah,
is that a thing? Too. The orange juice?
Hilariously, the guy who gave me my first batch of mushrooms, where I just felt like an idiot for a few hours, he was like, "Oh yeah, mix it with mushrooms and then drink the whole thing. It'll be fine." And then Kyle was like, "No, you take orange juice to bring you back down." I was like, "Really?" And I'm like, oh, so I might have just been an idiot for the whole thing. But
so probably what he was getting at was to what he was probably thinking of was, oh, this guy, it's his first time. Let's do training wheels version of.
I don't know. That guy has a bad rep in the community, so whatever.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Imagine, he's kind of a prick. Imagine holding your breath for 3 minutes, then turning off the lights and watching laser forward. Yeah, that's not good advice, man. That's a bad experience. You're like, try and suffocate yourself and then make sure you wrap a rope around you and then you start jerking off. You're like, don't do that. That is not a rookie thing. I am just starting out. You change your mind every 4 minutes in what you want to do. It's hilarious. I didn't find that because I'll be honest with you, I was more so just experiencing. And you're aware that you are on them though. It's not like drinking where you forget shit. That's true too. It's like getting hit on the head with a hammer trying to recognize your aunt. I didn't find it like that.
Someone tells me that that's happened to him for real before.
I feel it's more so that Joey is like, I don't want a shrooms experience. I want to get high off my tits. And you're like, that's not like, I'll be honest with you. There is a certain element of being high off your tits when you're on mushrooms, but that's not my, what I enjoyed about it. Like that was kind of like, and you feel kind of loopy, which is kind of cool.
Shrooms are crazy, non-addictive fun.
I think, you know what? I would say that it's not the shrooms that are addictive, but the experience is definitely something that you want to enjoy again.
So it's like a chasing the dragon type deal?
No, it's more so just the access it gives you to the vividness of the world. And that's why Kyle advised me, he's like, take some time to unpack the experience, right? Mm-hmm. So I waited like 2 weeks before we did it again. And oh Jesus, Mick, watch Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, sit back, trip your tits off, and enjoy the Oompa Loompas. Like that's.
I really hope he means the 70s one and not the terrible Johnny Depp one, because the Johnny Depp one was already pretty acid trippy on its own. Not even close. It really opens your mind up. You think about a lot of shit. Yeah.
It's more so like I'll be honest with you, especially the first time, and I think Kyle made fun of me at some point for it because I was like, I kind of feel connected to my ancestors. Like, look, I'm Greek. My ancestors built shit, right? Like we changed the world. Like we created philosophy. Like, so it was more so, and even coming out of it the first time, I was like, I really felt like I understood fashion a lot more. Just the idea of everything being interconnected. Mm-hmm. And that was a really cool experience. And Victoria was like, really? And I'm like, yeah. And also the vividness of color. It was just a very, and Mick agrees. Yeah. He goes, definitely the original.
What was Victoria's reaction
Oh, she hates.
To you choosing to do this and letting her know.
Oh well, so I early on made a commitment to Victoria that we don't lie to each other.
Okay.
Right. And if I may omit certain information, and that is specifically because it is not it's not going to go well. Victoria says, I'm happy you understand fashion now. Going to start wearing shirt dresses. There's no such thing as a shirt dress. It's just my size shirt on a smaller person.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Thank you, sir. But that's so like one of her coworkers was like, it's like a shirt jacket. I'm like, no, that's just an ugly shirt or a shitty jacket. There's no such thing as a shirt jacket. So, but yeah, so Victoria is, truth be told, she's a dork. She's a nerd. She's not cool like I am. And
okay.
So she has very little experience when it comes to indulgence other than buying shit and having cool stuff. So whereas for me, I'm at a point where I'm like, no, I need experiences and I know that there's more to the universe than just me. So Victoria, you rock that shirt dress. Don't encourage her, Kyle. But like, yeah, it's the idea that she even said, like, I explained it to her is that I'm like, listen, I'm cool. I like getting high because I'm a cool guy, but I'm not doing it to get high because I could just drink a bottle of vodka and that would do the same thing. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to break through something that I now like. I've learned as much as I could. I now need to force that envelope. And to be honest, I really, really, really enjoyed the experience. And the second one got more, not intense per se, but more of more amplified. And I look forward to continuing, like not often, just every once in a while, just because like there was like this time, like the first time I was afraid to close my eyes. And Kyle was like, you're in it, but you're not letting it go. And I'm like, I absolutely am not. That's like, it was 100% exactly what was happening. Because I was like, and I'm like every 2 months, I'm like,
okay. Like, now I'm imagining Kyle singing A Whole New World to you during the trip, right? A whole new world. Don't you dare close your eyes.
No. It was more so that he was like, don't worry, you're fine. And I'm like, there's a lot happening right now. He's like, actually, there's nothing happening. And I'm like, oh. It's like you open up easier as you go, more experience. Exactly, right? So it was more so knowing what to expect. Mm-hmm. And LOL. Thanks, Kyle and Square Table Degenerates. Yeah. If you eat a whole half ounce, you won't be able to move. Yeah, so the funny thing was I was worried about my balance and everything, but moving seemed okay. It was more so that I like the first time I kind of braced myself. Mm-hmm. And also too, like carpet was difficult to work at, and Kyle has a ceiling that you know those plaster patterns where it's like a spiral. And it's kind of like circular, like swooshes, and then it gets wider and wider and wider, like all like. Anyways, so
I'm having a hard. If you next time you're over there, take a picture. I'm sure
I will. I will take a picture and send to you, and which will probably be in 2 weeks. Kyle, I'll order some.
Or Kyle, since you're watching this episode, send it to him.
That's also is
take a picture.
A solution. But like. That in and of itself like was it's kind of the design of like you would see in a snail's shell but like repeated through by plaster in concentric circles kind of thing.
Okay, all right.
It's very like an old school design, but
very 70s.
Yeah like, and that's the thing is like it's way better than like popcorn ceiling, which is horrible.
Yeah, this isn't popcorn ceiling, but our living room is.
And you're like, it's the worst, right?
It's the worst, yeah.
So, with that, like, because of how the shapes are, like you really kind of, it's like, it's a lot to take in. So this time, because I was having such vivid stuff with that, with the colors and everything, I definitely. Oh yeah, he just sent it to me.
Oh. All right.
But yeah, thanks, Kyle. You're the best. Was that when, because I was experiencing things that vividly, it definitely got to a point where I was like, I gambled to. So this is what it looks like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And
Yeah.
it is
Yeah.
super wild. When it happens, you're just like, thank you, sir. You're a gentleman and a scholar.
Yeah.
But it was like it definitely like it looking at it, and though hilariously, like I cracked wise last time, and I was like, man, some of the things you have in this place like really mess with you. He's like, I am aware, and like he's got a clock that is a bunch of gears, and
Okay.
it's like a really cool, like a, I don't want to like, I guess steampunky type thing.
Yeah,
but
that's what I'm imagining.
It has a lot of depth to it and a lot of dimension.
Okay.
And yeah, old school, very ornamental.
Mhm.
And so like, but when you're like on shrooms and you look at that, it's like, you know, it just really wilds out. And then the ceiling too, right? So it's this time I dared to close my eyes, and that really, I saw a couple weird faces. It was quite an experience. I definitely enjoyed it. I look forward to continuing down, and even like a friend of mine has a wedding in a couple weeks where there's going to be a few friends who also enjoy these experiences, and I'm like, hey, why don't we get high at his wedding? And they're like, maybe, and I'm like, yeah, he's gonna get mad, but it should be a fun experience.
And this isn't my wedding, by the way. I know.
No.
I know what people are thinking.
Not
this
even.
is somebody else's wedding.
It's somebody else's wedding.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm sure once I get down there, I'll make a few contacts and be able to get high for Atlas's wedding as well. It'll be great. I'm gonna get Atlas.
We're getting married in Central California.
I'll just find mushrooms.
Yeah, like you'll find that shit in the couch. Like you'll be fine.
Maybe a thing.
Yeah.
No, like honestly, it's something I definitely recommend you hire a giant to accompany you with. Mm-hmm. And because
it's like, straight up a choir boy.
Atlas is straight up a choir boy. No, he's not. It's more so that he's seen it around him his whole life, so he's like, yeah, I know exactly what's going on.
Yeah, like it's not taboo to me. It's okay.
That's cool. Listen, and that's like, I remember I performed a little while ago at a weed dispensary, and I just made fun of people. I'm like, listen, I know 3 of you here sold me oregano in the 90s, and I'll be fucked if I'll let you do it again, you sons of bitches. Right? Good one. Kyle's like, I am open for hire. Listen, I would hire Kyle. Like
I would especially hire Kyle if that picture. So for people listening, he's like doing the emoji of like the
Yeah.
Emoji,
also a little bit grabbing the mustache, like
a little bit twirling his mustache. Yeah. So like if that was the like if you go on his website and like that's on the banner at the top, hell yeah, I'm hiring that.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where like, yeah, no, it was.
Atlas is freakishly like my own kids, probably because your own kids are very traumatized, Joey.
Yeah, it's you. You are the equivalent to your kids of Atlas living in California. You are the California of your house.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
That's it. Which that is not a compliment, sir. That is not a compliment. Just an FYI.
My kids are like, I am never going to drink and smoke like that. Geez,
that's a smart move on them.
It's not like I'm never going to drink and smoke. It's I'm cool with people doing that, but my body physically revolts if I do too much of this or that. It's like a single beer for the night, and then it lasts me for a couple hours, and then like weed, there's a little bit more leeway for, and then mushrooms again. I think I have to consult my neurologist and then go from there.
I think you really should, because I'll tell you what, like it was the most least high addictive experience I've ever had. It's like it was such an experience that I definitely want to do it again. It is completely, I don't feel compelled to do it again. And at the same time, it was like so wild that I'm like, oh, I definitely recommend it, but also training wheels. Definitely training wheels, ease into it, because it was such a worthwhile experience. But like, I think a lot of people, and I think this is one of the things with drug use that people don't realize is that when you do something like that, doing it just for shits and giggles, which is fine, don't get me wrong, is one thing. But if you're trying to do it for a reason, I can't disagree with you. But that's the thing, is like, it's not for everyone, and that's why I definitely recommend doing it with somebody who has some experience. And nature, I would say, like, have options, as in, like, number one, and Kyle actually was like, make sure you wear comfortable clothes. Number two was like, he had he was like, hey, there are pillows, there's blankets. Like, Kyle really took care of me, and it was greatly appreciated, because it's a unique experience, right? And taking the time to actually go through it properly was a huge advantage, because, like I said, the first time, who knows what happened. The second time, I honestly, 6 hours, I just felt like a dumbass, and I was like, is this what normal people feel like? Because this is horrible. Like, people would ask me questions, and I'm like, I feel like I should know the answer to that, and I just can't do it. Like, it was just, I mean, on a personal health thing, I am not hating. Self-awareness is amazing, but like, sometimes you just got to be spontaneous. Yeah, that's true.
Okay, God of Chaos, I'll be sure to keep that in mind.
100%. To New York City, you could do it
every week,
but that level of awareness, I would compare it to Las Vegas.
I was gonna say, there are people who live in New York City, Joey. What are they in this metaphor? Some people have success in microdosing. Yes, that's true. They do.
I would be surprised to find out that microdosing actually makes any sense.
I know it can help with either being on the spectrum, or there are certain forms of epilepsy that it helps for.
So,
not mine.
Hilariously, Kyle gets cold. He's like, I know I get cold, so he oils his blankets. I'm like, I didn't feel cold at all. Not at all. And like, hence, like, it you're gonna react to it. But that's why, like, it's worthwhile having somebody who knows what they're doing. Which I honestly can't be thankful enough for Kyle letting me enjoy the experience with him by my side, because
what's interesting is that, so Joey brings up the thing about his kids not like, I'm never gonna drink or smoke. So that's, when did like Dare and War on Drugs start? 70s. So like 50-ish years of anti-drug propaganda in the U.S. has led to the
worst.
The worst. It's like, it's the late stage of that has been like, I'm never gonna do drugs ever, because like the initial dying breath of that was in like the 80s and 90s, where like you got beat up for being straight edge. But enough time has passed where it's the default. But that doesn't necessarily have to be that way. And I don't mean in a like, everybody should do drugs are awesome, blah blah blah. I think if you are fully grown, if you're 18, 21, and you want to make the decision to do that, you should be able to do that in a safe environment, and consult a doctor, things like that. But the stigma of doing it doesn't need to be there. And like, even for like, I'm a teacher now, and I get that inevitably comes up, right? Because we're like, in whatever we're reading or whatever, a character does drugs, they're like, what do you think about doing drugs? I'm like, okay, so again, I'm not going to say don't do drugs ever, but do it in a safe environment, consult the doctor, wait till you're grown. I feel like that's good enough, right?
Well, like, the way I think about it this way is that everyone has the right to feel loved, safe, and happy, right? But you don't have the right to impede on other people feeling that way either. So in the same sense, you're like, hey, if you need help, you should be able to ask a professional about these kind of things and get a reasonable thing. So like Kyle just said, microdosing does help, but PTSD and stuff needs a macrodose to help get past it. Like, that's the thing, is it is a therapeutic thing. And that's been one of the best things. Like, my kids don't hate on it. They just saw how I was. So Joey's a sloppy drunk. Gotcha. And don't do drugs unless we make them and sell them to you, Big Pharma. Booyah! There we go.
He's got a point there.
Well, but that's the thing is like, so, and that's like, for me, I'm like right now, I just decreased my, like under medical supervision, I just decreased my dosages and I'm now on metformin for my diabetes, which means like I'm slowly eradicating my insulin resistance and getting rid of my type 2 diabetes. That's a huge difference in my existence, but also too, like metformin is actually made from tree bark. So there is a tree bark that I could just chew and it's called a poor man's metformin. It's the same type of thing. So like that's the thing is you're like, hey, there are reasons for things that exist. And then there are things that like the idea is like there are certain drugs that you're like, hey, you're just going to get messed up. And you're like, yeah, if you're just going to get messed up, don't do that. That's not a good thing. That's something that can ruin you, right? Don't get me started on Big Pharma. I got 1,700 views on my diabetic short. There you go, right? But that's the idea is that being able to gain knowledge and then have an experience or talk to somebody who's had the experience to be able to educate yourself if it's something worthwhile doing is a huge difference than the MAD program or DARE, where they're like, it's the worst and it'll destroy you. Like, you know what?
Yeah, no.
Help people understand, because listen, hey, after trillions of dollars, the war on drugs, you know who won? Drugs. And you know why? Because you didn't take the time to educate people. And because look, how many things in life have been villainized when you're going, oh, that's actually not that bad. And even like look, last October, I got rear-ended and it rode off my car. I got soft tissue damage and totally all over my place. My shoulder is still messed up. And you know what? When I went to the doctor, he goes, well, everything's okay, but you're going to have a rough weekend. So if there's anything you do when you've had a rough day, I would do that again for the weekend. And I was like, you mean like smoke a joint or drink a bottle of wine? And he's like, that's up to you, sir. And I'm like, why are you making that sound now? Like, you're just a fucking weirdo.
Mushroom DNA is closer to human than any vegetable, probably because it's a fungus, not a vegetable.
But
I know what he's getting at. Yeah.
If you're going to do shrooms, clear off your whole day because you will need it. Why I say best is on vacation. Yeah, probably. Well, that's don't have sex at least, because that's also advice people should be getting very early on. Be like, listen, if you want kids, by all means. If you don't want kids, then double back it, boys.
So I think I have, for the most part, a pretty healthy relationship with drugs because it wasn't villainized in my upbringing.
True.
It was just kind of like, here's what it does.
Yeah.
That's it. And then the choice was left up to me. Obviously, there was stuff like you can't drink till you're 21 or whatever, but fine, those are laws. And but it was just like when it's not cool, it's just kind of there. You don't feel the need to do it as a teenager. You're just like, whatever.
The idea of there being peer pressure for it is insane, right? We need kids who is going to buy the shrooms in 20. That's fair. But like, that's like, realistically, it's one of those things where, if you have a better understanding, like, I'll be honest with you, if I could go back, I would rather do shrooms than quite a few drugs that I've done in my time, just because, honestly, especially the first time and this time, like this past 2 times with Kyle's guidance, I don't want to make it sound so like it was a spiritual experience, man, and I felt so deep. And like, that's not what I'm talking about. It's more so that like you start connecting dots that you're going, I knew those two things connected, but I didn't know that I could just draw a line across. You know, like it's the idea or the simplicity of the universe that it really helps you grasp, and that's what I really enjoyed about it. But the vividness is, oh man, it really messes with you a lot. In a good way, not in a bad way. But, so, yeah, definitely one of those things. Definitely something that
who's going to buy him in 20 years? I mean, trust me, with the trajectory it's on, like I think there's a bill to be voted on in the next election in California that's just like legal mushrooms ? Or like, and like. With legal weed, I was a little closer to it, where I was like, "Oh, yeah, I would very much like that." With shrooms, I can take or leave it, but I'm still going to vote yes. You know.
Well, the idea, like, hilariously, the idea of a democracy where people don't have the ability to choose is the dumbest thing you've ever thought of, right? Like, it's a democracy. Everyone should have the right to choose. So making it illegal to be able to choose is the antithesis of democracy.
That's one of those
Right.
things where, like, I think anarchists said it right. But like for the sense of like, okay, as long as it's safe and you can do them as an adult in a safe environment,
Yeah.
Go for it, libertarians. Like,
but that's the whole idea is stopping people from doing things just because you don't feel that they should have the right to choose is the antithesis of what a democracy should be, right? If anything, it should be the idea that everyone should get access to an education where they can have the right or ability or opportunity to investigate and say, hey, is this something I want? Like higher education. Maybe I want to learn a trade. Maybe I want to learn more. Like, oh, do I want to be, a mason, or do I want to be an engineer? That's not an unreasonable ask. Do I want to be a plumber? Do I want to be a civil engineer? Do I want to, be a machinist? Do I want to build machines? Do I want to build like all those things factor in, and denying people the right to choose is just, well, you're a fool, right?
Honestly, like, that's so for the millennials when we were in high school.
Yeah.
The go to college, otherwise you suck, go to college was rammed down our throats. And now I am in a position not to change it, but just to at least influence, maybe not putting the future generations in that position where I can be like, look, college is great. You're going to need it for a lot of jobs, but don't think it's your only option. Here are trades. Maybe do community college before going into the university proper. Or if you have a job lined up, don't feel the need to go to college just because. Because it costs a lot of money.
Here. Honestly, we should just let teens drink and start. Why
is the age so young? I believe
in Europe they like get loaded at 13.
Here's the thing: they can get loaded at 13 in Europe because there is good enough public transportation where they're not going to drive into a fucking tree. Joey,
you tell them, Atlas. No. But that's the whole thing. It's like, for me, like I had my first beer when I was 12 years old, and just so people know, beer tastes like piss at 12, and now still does, just more tolerable.
There was this mango beer I had at a show once, so it was really good. I wish I wrote down what the name of it was.
What is it? There's a strawberry one.
It was like some kind of mango stout or whatever. The second you're old enough for the kids table, you should be able to get intoxicated. Joey, I do not want to know what Christmas was like for you and your family. My 25-year-old has finally acknowledged that not letting her get student loans was the best gift ever.
True.
There you go. Yeah.
Kyle says, I didn't get a degree, and look at me, drug
hire that giant.
That's fair. Listen.
Oh, that might be the episode. Okay, I'm writing that down. That's
hire that giant. That's a good episode title. Yeah. Hire that giant. Yeah. And realistically, Kyle will start a website where we'll be like, hey, we're going to take you on a trip, and in case you freak out, we'll smack the shit out of you. I feel like that's a good sell.
Hire that giant. The way I'm imagining it is like on Family Feud or whatever. The audience going, hire that giant.
I feel like that's a winner, though. That's just a winner. Like this is the thing. Is like the idea. I remember, like, because there is a legal age everywhere. Atlas is making my website 100%.
Yeah.
But like in Greece, I think the age is 16 or 18, and people are just like, it goes, if you can pay for it, drink it. And then they're like, and it's like, even if you can't pay for it, just go for it. Who gives a shit? Like, it's realistically, you're gonna, like, if you don't like it, then don't drink it. You like it, drink it. I tell my kids, if they have dreams, I can make it happen, but you got to be 100% passionate about it, not like having a passing interest. Yeah, that's fair. Around here, we let money chase dreams, not dreams chase money. Well,
okay. I mean, that seems like
Joey barely speaks English, so sure, let's call it.
No, I see what he's getting at. I have a similar like thing in my corner where a certain relative was like, if you have an idea, because they have like a finger in the industry, right? And they're like, if you have an idea for a thing, I can give you one honest shot at it, but you gotta know for certain that it is what you want to do. So I always keep that in the back of my mind. I'm like, if I ever come with like the silver bullet of like a TV show idea or something, I'm going to hit that relative up. But so Joey's got whatever that is with his kid.
Well, this is the way I think about Atlas, and this is where like I wanna, like, out of everything that you can get from this episode, and not necessarily about drugs, but is like, listen, taking the chance to see if you enjoy something like this show. We've had various guests, various co-hosts, various topics, various things to discuss, and each time that we try something new, we get better and we learn what we enjoy better, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the same sense, like right now, as an example, last week we did the Seinfeld episode, which is still getting views and it's actually really taking off.
Yeah.
Then we're on the third episode of Hammered and Cheese with Cole, and each one of those episodes is coming up on 100 views, right? And like, that's an hour-long episode. Like that's really, but that's the accumulation of years of doing this show, doing other shows, trying different things, doing things on my own, right? And that's why it's like, listen, you have to go out and experience. And that's one of the real cool things about this was like, I didn't take this decision lightly, and knowing full well that it was going to be an experience was what I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm looking for, is to make sure I get that experience. And it's been a wild one, right? I've enjoyed the shit out of it.
Yeah.
So.
No, definitely. I hire that giant. Gotta take chances, man. Nothing wrong with the swing and a miss. You get another couple of chances for a home run. That's true, but it's one of those things where I want the idea to come to me to then go, now I'm gonna go hit her up, instead of being like, what can I think of that will fit into this? No, like
100%.
Yeah. Remember, folks, hire that giant.
That's when in doubt, hire a giant. I like, in all honesty, even Kyle and I were talking about that. How it's like so many people are just dumb for so many things, and you're just like, it feels like we're getting to the point where you're like, can I just hire an adult to just explain stuff to me? Like, hey, I'm trying to do my taxes. Can you just come over and explain, just walk me through the process so I have a better understanding? And you're going like, it's just giving people pointers is not that is a resourceful thing that I'm like, I really feel like that should be a subscription process.
Okay, so this isn't a thing for you Canadians, but here in the US, the medical system is incredibly annoying to navigate. And I came across this YouTube video where it's just a dude explaining what all the terms mean.
Yeah.
What's an HMO? What's a PPO? What's a copay? What's like all that stuff? And now whenever I'm talking to friends and I'm like, I don't know, what do I do? Like, I just got a new job. Do I do an HMO or PPO? I just send them that and they're like, yeah, thank you. Like, more things like that, please. Hire that giant.
There has to be like that independent perspective that people offer, so that, because you're like, there's that's like really what I found it was like really getting to sit back and let the universe talk to me instead of me grasping at the universe for what I was trying to do. You know, it's a very enjoyable experience. Well, like, I know a bunch of actors at this point, but I don't like ask them to be in movies because I'm not an actor. Well, among other reasons. Let's just start there. I am so glad for the VA. Yeah, that's also true, right?
When he says VA, I assume Veterans Association, not Virginia or voice actor, right?
I think it's Virginia voice actor also. I just need something. I email the doctor and they ship it. Yeah, well, but that's the thing is having an understanding of how things work is that I think that quote unquote corporate America, or the man, whatever you want to call it, has made a point of making things more confusing just so that they could be confusing, which you're like, yeah, that's a horrible idea.
It's create a problem, sell the solution.
Yeah, which is like, it's literally the worst, and that's
its own episode that I think we should do with a guest at some point.
Yeah, that is what things are literally meant just to ruin the existence of mankind. It's just there's a long list of those, and we can vote on which one is worse.
Yeah.
So
I also want to do more draft episodes, because like I did that. One fan of the show, shout out Hawkins, is was like, do a curb one next, which sounds pretty fun. And then for former guest of the show, or just previous guest of the show, Nina Dicker, was like, if you ever do Saved by the Bell. I'm like, never seen Saved by the Bell, but
you've never seen Saved by the Bell?
No,
Saved by the Bell is pretty great.
I'm aware of it and like the impact it had in the timeout and shit like that, but never really watched it because it was just before our time, my sister and I.
You've never seen I'm So Excited, I'm So Scared?
No. What is I'm So Excited, I'm So Scared? To round out the episode here. What's the
caffeine pills, addiction, and like trying to stay up so you can study and be on point, and like the way people took Adderall and stuff like that. Whereas like
Adderall was definitely a thing when I was in high school.
Yeah, so that would be. I think they were caffeine pills that Saved by the Bell and the reboot were all good.
I'm not doubting its quality. I just kind of missed the bus on it, you know?
Holy shit, you have never seen It's every person who's older than you is like, what the hell? Yeah. Listen, just recently I found out my wife had never seen Mr. Rogers, or for Canadians, Mr. Dress Up, and I was like, what? Because she grew up in the UK, so they didn't have it, right?
Okay.
And I'm just like, this explains so much of why you're so murdery sometimes to me. But
it was funny. My mom thought Mr. Rogers was creepy, and then my dad let us watch it. And then as I grew up, and like when he died in the 2000s, like 2004 or whatever it was, and there's all the like, here's all the stuff that comes out about someone after they die, and my mom's like, watch this, he's gonna have done something. No,
he's the nicest
angel. He's a
person
fucking
alive.
angel.
That's
Mr.
like,
Rogers.
Bro, that was Tiffany Amber Thiessen, you missed out. Her TikTok is boring, but she's
Tiffany Amber Thiessen. Is that the girlfriend?
It's Kelly Kapowski, baby. And she's the top.
That's the reason Nina Dicker is bisexual. You're welcome.
That's a reason why a lot of people are
bisexual. Her and Zach, makes sense.
And they had every flavor. You're like, listen, Screech for weirdos, AC Slater for jocks, and then you had Pretty Boy Zach Morris, which you're like, listen, if it was gonna swing you, that was it. Trust me, it checked a lot of boxes before there were even boxes. I'll tell you that much.
Before we knew what boxes were. No.
Exactly. Before the invention of the box, they had check marks ready for placing.
Yeah. No, not what I was thinking of, but okay. Tori Spelling is a nerd. Yeah.
Also true. Yeah.
So yeah, maybe I'll give it a shot at some point. I definitely want to do, if we ever keep that going. It'll probably be like once every few months we come back and do it or something.
It's more so just finding people who are willing or who have watched it, because like we can do Avatar: The Last Airbender. We can do we can even just so you know, my first pick is Secret Tunnel.
Oh yeah,
Secret Tunnel.
You can have the Cave of Two Lovers. I'm immediately going for the Blind Bandit, which the introduction of Toph and the Boulder.
Oh. The Boulder has mixed feelings on this subject. Yeah. Tori Spelling wears quite a bit of makeup. That's also true.
All right. Well, anyway, so if you enjoyed this episode, leave a like, leave a comment.
Go watch more. Tell your friends and family.
Yeah. Go check us out on Twitter or Instagram at Generation Dan. If you also this will just be an open thing. If there is a TV show you would like us to do the draft on, let us know. We won't necessarily do it, but we're always taking
we love hearing from you.
So, yeah, we love hearing from you, though. Yeah, so how is it about you, sir?
If you're a previous guest, feel free to recommend something that you are knowledgeable about, because the whole idea is we want people who have watched the entire show, series, trilogy, whatever it is, and then we can discuss, like, realistically, we could do John Wick fight scenes, which are the best, and then we have that draft, right? Like, there's any number of the
Office gym pranks or whatever. Like, I don't care.
Oh, don't even get me started. Nichols every time. Nichols is the best. Okay,
I love his delivery where he's like, I just kept putting up more and more nickels, and then just took them all out.
But then it's like the nickels, and when he puts his own stuff in his in the coin thing, you're like, Victoria says Simpsons. Listen, it's 30 years. We have to do like episode like 5 seasons. It's gonna be in block.
Either that or do like Treehouse of Horrors or something. Like
we could do. Because then it's 30 episodes. You could plow through 30 episodes in a couple weeks, right? So that's, as I said. Put those in.
So, yeah. Where can they find you? Good stuff.
I am here, Dino the Genetic Marvel, and Google me. I'm everywhere. Also, too, I'm going to be traveling in the next couple days. So you're going to have Dino the Genetic Marvel in the wild doing stuff, maybe seeing people, maybe in a forest. Who knows?
Yeah,
So,
just don't take mushrooms out there, apparently. You can find
Never
me
know.
at Atlas Novak on Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok, or you can check out my YouTube channel, The Epileptic Comic. That's all just kind of short, fun sketches.